Hello, welcome back to another Aussie Cadet Edwards video. Today we're going to be looking at what items you should bring outfield and on bivs. So when it comes to being outfield, we're looking at sort of two main things that you definitely already be used to. So first of all, we're looking at our webbing. So this is my webbing, and from last video we have sort of made some adjustments. So I've gone through and taped up all of these loose ones, and I've also done the same on my bum bag because my bum bag was the biggest issue I had before. But as you can see here, I've just sort of tucked the tails away quite nicely. And then secondly, the other thing that you'll bring on bivs or outfield with you is your pack. My pack's slightly different. I've put a minimi pouch on the top, which holds my hammer and my pegs for my hoochie. But that does not come standard. Usually this is just not there, and then this is just the pack by itself. Alright, so here's a little bit of an overview of what would be in my webbing. So I've taken everything out of this webbing here, and then I've laid it out in front so we can take a look. So we'll start from the top here. This is your cadet issue jumper, okay? So I'll unfold it in just a minute, but essentially the jumper that is issued to all cadets, it's DPCU, and it will keep you nice and warm. Next, you'll have your sort of standard issue AMCU hat. Sometimes you'll be issued with a DPCU one when you're a recruit, and then you'll receive this one once you're promoted to cadet. Very importantly, you'll have your Japara. Okay, so that and the jumper will go in your bum bag, which is the sort of rear bit that is at the back of your webbing. Moving on, we have these three items. So 2 canteens, and then you also have a cups canteen, which holds one of them that just sort of sits in there like that. So what they're used for, I'll walk through in a minute, but I have 2 of them, and one of my tricks is to write Ed or your initials on the top so you can find your water bottle quite easily. Next, I have obviously a light. This one is not red light capability, so you need one that is has a red sort of lens as well if you have that. Obviously the knife, as you've seen, I've showed this one in the previous video. That's always something good to have on you. Obviously it has to be under 5 centimeters. Obviously your notebook and pen, okay, so this is so you can take notes on whatever you're told, sometimes your orders, just a very important thing to have with you. Next you have your cam cream, so this is the one I was issued. It sort of started to come off a little bit, but that is quite handy. Depending on where you are, sometimes if you're on a barracks that requires identification, you need to bring your cadet identification, which is just pretty much like an ID card. I like to put mine in this so it stays protected and I don't lose it, but that's sort of just an optional thing that I carry. And finally some duct tape, or some electrical tape rather. So I'll pop all that into my webbing and I'll show you what it looks like. So now we're down here at the webbing. As you can see, this is sort of a normal water bottle or a canteen holder. So what that means is the water bottle you have here, you'll notice one side has a sort of curve in it. Okay, and that curve is to sit facing you to fit the shape of your hip. Okay, so don't put it in facing that way. So make sure it's facing with the rounded part towards you so it fits more comfortably. Okay, and you can decide which one you want to put it in because I have 2. So I have one water bottle holder here and one here. So what I'll do is I'll get my canteen and I'll put it inside this, my cups canteen, push it down, okay, and then I will put it inside just like that. Now, as I said, my webbing here has this sort of extra pouch on the end, or on the end of one of the water bottle holders, and that is for your hexamine stove, or hexamine cooker. So that will sort of, sometimes it's a bit hard to get in, but if you just kind of wriggle it a little bit, you can most of the time get it to sit in just like that, and then you sort of cover that over and button them up, and that just comes with you. Some people don't have it and they'll carry it in their bum bag or they'll carry it in a different pouch. It's personal preference. I did want to just show you this quickly. So this is the woolen jumper unpacked. So it's quite a thick jumper and will keep you warm. And then obviously I've sewed in the Australian Army Cadet biscuit as well. Moving towards the cups canteen, I'll show you how to set that up now. So to walk through my setup just quickly before we move on to the pack, these are the 2 canteens. So these are just the ones that I use in my webbing. I do suggest that you fill these up no matter what. So whenever you're bringing your webbing to a cadet activity, make sure these are full. So if you're going to a parade night and it's sort of a fieldcraft night, fill them up. if you're going to a biv or if you're going outfield, especially fill them up because you will get thirsty. So this is your cups canteen. It is issued to every cadet. So how it works is you have this little piece that sort of flips out, okay, and then you have this little lever here that goes up and down, which you can see here. So how this works is you raise it up to the top, okay, and then you've just sort of got to push these levers in. I don't know if you can see that too well. There you go. So you just push that down, okay, and these little flaps will hold it in place, so you can hold that just like that. So this works in conjunction with your hexamine stove or individual cooker. So how it works is it just folds out like this, okay? It's a pretty simple setup. I've seen it used a few different ways. The way I tend to use it is using these sort of sharp spikes into the ground and keep it buried a little bit. You'll put your hexamine tablet here, and then you'll put your cooker on top like this, okay? I have seen it used in a few different ways. Some people do it like this, and then they'll pop it inside. Mine doesn't really do that. It will sort of lean back, and I don't really want to spill the water. So there's a few different ways. Use it how you wish. And usually the hexamine, when you're not using it, the hexamine tablets will just sit in the middle, and then you can close it up and just keep them in there. The other thing I said I was going to show you was how to cook on your cups canteen. So I've got it back out, and here I have a meals ready to eat, which this one is baked beans. So how it would work is you would fill this up with water from your canteen or your water bottle. You would pop it on your hexamine stove and light it. Okay, then you would pop it on top, and then once the water gets hot, you just sort of put the packet in like this. Make sure you open it when you put it in, and then you can slowly mix it while it's cooking. And then you should be ready to just, once it's ready, take it out, and then you can just eat straight out of this. Something that I didn't mention was stuff that isn't allowed, so I'll just cover the sort of basic stuff. Firstly, knives longer than 5 centimeters not allowed. Some activities or some people at cadets will say no longer than 10 centimeters, but I stick by the 5 centimeter rule just to be safe. Obviously there's those basic things like no pyrotechnics, obviously, no alcohol, anything like that. No energy drinks is another one that sometimes people will forget. But the biggest one that is sort of forgotten or is a common fault is no spray on deodorant or mozzie spray or hairspray, whatever that stuff is, or whatever it is. Anything that's sort of in a can, that can set off fire alarms or smoke detectors. So that is sort of prohibited on pretty much every cadet activity. So for this, we'll be having a look at what's in my pack now. So I've got rid of all the stuff that was in my webbing, and now we'll just take a look at what is in my pack usually. So first of all, I've got my sleeping bag. So this one is the Deploy 1300, which is from Caribbee. So this is what it looks like. It's quite a nice sleeping bag. It keeps me warm, so that's all I really need. But the other really good thing is that it's compact. So this will fit inside of my pack, which I'll show you in a moment. But sort of making sure it's nice and light and compact is very important, so it fits, and it also gives you more room to fit other things. So here is a ground mat or a ground sheet. Some units will issue them. This one's mine. I got it for about 10 bucks at an outdoor store, but that's quite handy to have with you depending on what's happening. Here I've just got another one of these sort of quick drying towels. So you know, if we're having showers or if it gets wet, it's quite handy to have on hand. So I've also just sort of got a spare set of uniform here. So this is my DPCU set from when I was a recruit, but I still get to keep it. So that's just sort of an example of what I might have in the pack. Obviously you might also have stuff like your civvies, so your civilian clothing, underwear, socks, all that sort of stuff. And then finally, I like to carry a hammer and pegs. Most people don't carry hammers, but I sort of just have that room, so I carry one with me. And then I've got quite a lot of pegs. I like to bring lots just in case. I'm not very good at looking after my pegs, so that's why. So just quickly, before I walk into my how I put my sleeping bag into the pack, I'll show you this other one thing I didn't show you. So this is my sleeping mat I use. It's not standard issue, but I really like to have it with me. So it's sort of this mat that goes underneath my sleeping bag for when I'm in the hoochie. Gives me that extra layer of cushioning. Some people tend to use like an inflatable one, but that's my preference because it's nice and compact. So I'll show you this now. So with my sleeping bag, what I'll do is I'll put it in the bottom of my pack. So this is what my pack would look like standing up. have to do this with one hand. This is what my pack would look like standing up. Okay, obviously it looks a bit weird, there's nothing in it. But the bottom here, you have this bottom section where you put something in. So I will show you how to pack that now. So you get your sleeping bag, okay, and you're going to push it towards one end. Just like that, and then it sort of sits in the bottom, just like that. So here I have a packing list. I've blurred the name of the activity, but this is sort of what every activity will look like. So on CadetNet, you'll have a sort of, down the bottom there'll be something called activity documents, and on there you'll be able to select the packing list. Every activity that's on there should have one, from what I'm aware, but they're quite straightforward. So most of them are quite similar. So we have a serial number, don't worry about this sort of numbering, the actual item name, how many of them you'll need, and then any sort of comments or remarks I've added. So for this activity that I'm heading on, you'll need your AMCU/DPCU uniform with a bush hat, which I showed you in the past video. So you need 2 sets of those, okay? And then it's saying if it gets wet, because if it rains or whatever that be, have that spare change. So your large pack and webbing, as I've shown you before, the one I have, a sleeping bag, all that sort of stuff, and it's very basic stuff.